live, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us today. Bitcoin is down around 50% from the approximate high, back here somewhere around $69,420. One of the questions I know that's running through a lot of people's minds is the bull market over? And as a veteran investor, one of the things I've learned is that when the bull market ends and a bear market begins, this is the most sensible time to understand why the bears make sense. This whole area back here where you can barely see Bitcoin's price, it's around between $3,000 and $20,000 effectively. This whole range back here, it's like, yeah, see this little red line down here? That on the screen is the approximate previous all-time high. This is around $20,000 here. And then up here is that $69,000. So there's this huge range between 2017 and over here, the dip right here of March 2020. And through all of that time, the best thing to do was just be acquiring undervalued assets. Now, Bitcoin has actually pretty much always been in a bull run. So when we're looking at the bear market, most people think this is a time to go short. And I think that Michael Saylor's strategy, what he's doing is probably the most effective way to play this game, which is to ignore the volatility of the price. It's going to exist. And then based on whatever your general revenues are every month, play that game. So he's been investing what their company can afford almost every month, which is, I think they make around a few $100 million a year, so around $100 million a month. And because of that 2017 $20,000 high and the subsequent ups and downs between 30,000 and 20,000 that would have pushed most traders and most investors out, if you just kept buying, you get a nice average price around, let's say, $5,000 to $7,000 by buying the highs and buying the lows, buying the highs and buying the lows, just buying every month that you possibly can. Now, this strategy in a positive asset is extraordinarily powerful, yet it's really easy to forget. So now that we're down 50%, this is where it becomes the hardest to buy. Now, a lot of the digital alternative assets usually get fairly wrecked in price at this point. You've seen 70, 60, 70% retracements on a lot of ideas out there. This is relatively normal. There's a few reasons. Number one, Bitcoin is our leading indicator. It's kind of like our guiding light, our North Star in all of our private newsletters. If you haven't signed up for that, by the way, please, I think you should probably do so. No risk for you as well. And because of this, what we're trying to do is move through the 5 to 10 year time horizon it takes to be a good investor and not get lost in the noise. It is extraordinarily hard to do, especially if you're emotional about the monetary movement. Now, I myself still get a little giddy when things go ridiculously high, and I still get a little finger bitey when things go super low. But the strategy has continued to work over the last few years, and it's been the most powerful. Now, again, I've got into like day trading before. I've got into like leverage trading. Every now and then I still do those things because I find them entertaining more than anything. It's actually a pretty easy way to lose money as well. And ultimately, if you are on a path to potentially lose money thinking that investing is going to be the way that you make money, you're in for a sore surprise. Investing is a great way to create a large amount of wealth over an expanded time frame. Trading, this leverage emotional hype that a lot of people get caught up in, is not usually healthy, not usually productive or profitable. It's actually very hard to make profitable. It can be done, but it's not beneficial for most people. Most people are better off picking a job that they are already doing. Maybe you make tables or do rock masonry effectively. And then generating that revenue and in making those investments. Now again, we all get caught. We all have to find out on our own that the stove is hot. And we've been talking a little while that we're basically in the middle of the market cycle and maybe even over for a little bit. And this is one of the points I really want to drive home, is that when the market is on a low and fearful side, this is the time that's best to be accumulating, right? This is the time to focus on what your month-over-month revenue and business is. The reason people like Michael Saylor can accumulate so much Bitcoin and they make so much money from all of that Bitcoin is because they have a way to generate revenue. Generating wealth within your community through a business is probably the best way to do that. There are a innumerable number of ways to go down this pathway. I always suggest going down a line of something you're passionate about. But in all of this market movement, the best thing to do is just find a consistent strategy, just like going to the gym. First piece of advice, don't use leverage trading if you're new to investing or trading. You're probably just going to lose money, and that cost alone is usually what kicks you out of the market, and then you don't come back, missing out on all the multi-year fun that takes place throughout all these price cycles, where when we go back in history, and here we were in March of 2020, May 2020, saying, oh my God, the bull market's about to start, having a 10 and 20x, maybe some of these even went up 250x, and now we're on a slight retracement. Now this slight retracement is going to be fascinating because there is so much of a larger interest here that understands better what the technology can do, what it's capable of, and where we might end up going based off this. So I'm still very bullish. Every time we've seen Bitcoin come off a previous all-time high and then come down, this has just been a better area to accumulate. So I see the bear markets as the best time to forage and to accumulate. Yes, it always hurts a little when you watch the general portfolio drop dramatically. And people are like, oh, we should have sold at the top, buy at the bottom. But that's the emotional game that gets you washed out somewhere in between these waves. It's very difficult to keep up with the asymmetric growth that these assets provide. Anyways, Steel with the Arcane Bear. Thank you for joining us today. Give us a thumbs up if you like this new style of content. I just want to provide you a Saturday morning brief. A little bit of music, a little bit of fire, and some sweeping. My little morning meditation. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Thanks for coming along for the ride. I know it's not your standard content, but the Steel with the Arcane Bear.